Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, today I want to talk about the possibility of Naruto and Sasuke potentially fighting again in the future. Now, this fight right here wouldn't necessarily be like any regular Naruto versus Sasuke fight, because at this particular point, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't necessarily be on the complete opposite sides of each other. In my opinion, I think if they were to fight in the future, it would definitely be more of a friendly bout. They would probably still be trying to kill each other, mainly because you can't necessarily go against a character of their ilk and not necessarily try to kill the other person and expect not to get seriously injured. One of the reasons why I say this would probably be a very friendly fight is because this is the story of Boruto. At this particular point, they don't necessarily want to take a lot of the attention away from Boruto and the new generations. One of the reasons why I think this is going to definitely happen is Sasuke and Naruto's interaction after they defeated Momoshiki. After the fight was finished, Sasuke hops down. He pretty much tells Naruto, "You don't look so good." Naruto tells Sasuke, "Neither do you." Sasuke replies and says, "Don't compare us. I'm still able to stand on my own." And then he picks up Naruto. Then Naruto asks Sasuke, "How long are you planning on acting like we're still rivals?" Then Sasuke says, "At least until I've beaten you soundly." So in this particular scene right here, the Boruto riders were kind of teasing the fan base and pretty much leaving the door open for a future Sasuke versus Naruto battle. Now, I do want to point out there was some more dialogue and pretty much went like this. Naruto told Sasuke, "In that case, wouldn't today count towards that?" And then Sasuke didn't necessarily reply. And I think this right here is left open for a very good reason. The Boruto riders don't necessarily want to be forced into a battle with Naruto versus Sasuke, because obviously that would take a lot of manpower. You can't necessarily make this a mediocre battle. For this battle, you have to have it be absolutely elite. And I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be as good animation wise and choreography wise as their last battle in Naruto Shippuden, but I'm pretty sure they're probably not necessarily going to just animate this fight on a whim. This would have to be something very huge. And the Boruto riders, as I said, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't necessarily want to be berated by the Boruto fans or the Naruto fans every single day asking when are they going to finally get the Naruto versus Sasuke battle. So ending the dialogue like this was a very good decision. Now, if you were to ask me if I think it would actually happen, I'm gonna say yes. One of the things that the series of Boruto is very good at is incorporating the past generation, especially Naruto and Sasuke. Now, in terms of if it would actually happen in like a canon timeline, it's not necessarily 100% set in stone. I think as of right now, one of the things that people would just want to see is, of course, Naruto versus Sasuke, and people always ask the question, as of right now, who is stronger, Naruto or Sasuke? So because of that, I think filler or canon, it will still garner the same amount of respect, but obviously people would have the preference of it to be in a canon storyline. So obviously in the future of Boruto, I can definitely see that happening, but if not canon, it could definitely be added by filler means. One of the best times this could possibly happen is during the time skip, or two, after everything is finished. Now, we understand that Kawaki and Boruto, they're probably going to have one of the biggest fights of the series. Now, of course, that's not necessarily guaranteeing that Kawaki is going to be the final villain, but of course we understand that's probably going to be a very big battle. But I think at the end of everything, if Naruto and Sasuke are still alive, I would be absolutely shocked if we would not get a Naruto versus Sasuke battle at the end of everything. Potentially, I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised if a Naruto versus Sasuke battle would probably be the last episode of the Boruto anime. Even though this is not the story of Boruto, the Boruto writers they absolutely love to give the Boruto and the Naruto fans some fan service fights, and I think this right here would probably be the best or the most fan service fight that we could pretty much see. But in my opinion, I would most rather like to see this in a movie. It definitely opens the door to a potential Naruto 100% full strength versus Sasuke 100% full strength, and this right here pretty much predicates on Naruto getting Karama back and Sasuke getting his Rinnegan back. Because it's a movie, the writers could potentially say the movie could have taken place right after the fight versus Momoshiki, right after the quote that I did read out was uttered, or this fight could have happened even before Momoshiki actually arrived, or this fight could have happened right before they did lose their respective hacks abilities. So flat out making the movie just opens a lot of possibilities in regards to a potential Naruto versus Sasuke battle. Now, we haven't necessarily talked about Boruto creating a movie in a very long time, and it's pretty much for a very good reason, man, because there are pretty much no talks around Boruto creating a movie. But if Boruto were to actually create a movie right now, and I do want to make a full-length video about what the topics could possibly be, but for right now, in my opinion, I think two of the greatest topics could possibly be a time-traveling arc when Boruto is post-time skip, and of course he gets to meet Naruto while Naruto is post-time skip, potentially in Sage of Six Paths mode as well during the 4th Great Shinobi War. But also, in my opinion, another very good topic would have to be a Naruto versus Sasuke battle. Now, of course, as I said, it wouldn't necessarily be a situation where Naruto and Sasuke are actually trying to kill each other because they have some sort of disagreement, but I think this fight would definitely be hyped up to that extent. And of course, Naruto and Sasuke would actually be having to try to kill each other because they're just that strong. Now, in regards to who I think would actually win, first things first, before I answer that, I do want to say that the Boruto writers a long time ago did actually come out and say that Naruto and Sasuke were equal in strength, but of course that was a long time ago and this is a video, so I have to give an answer. But I do want to point out, I wouldn't necessarily be too surprised if it actually did end in a draw. But that being said, both of them full power. Let's just say Naruto does not have the Baryon mode. Both of them full power. Naruto Sage of Six Paths mode. Sasuke has the Rinnegan, plus not necessarily say all arms, just say one arm. I think Naruto would take that. I've been saying this for a very long time. I think the power that Naruto has, especially getting a full other tail beast on Sasuke, comparing them to their last battle, I think that's just too much for Sasuke to overcome. Obviously, if Naruto pulls out the Baryon mode, it would be a body bag. If Sasuke gains another arm, full strength, I think then Sasuke would be able to beat Naruto. But again, I think if Sasuke just throws on another arm like how Madara did during the war, Sasuke wouldn't necessarily have an upper hand mainly because I think the arm itself would probably throw Sasuke off balance a little bit, just because of the sheer fact that he hasn't necessarily had two arms in about 16 years. Naruto right now, he doesn't necessarily have Karma on his side. Sasuke himself doesn't necessarily have the Rinnegan on his side. We don't really know about in the future. Maybe they both get their respective hacks abilities back, but as of right now, I mean, I have absolutely no idea. I think if Sasuke gets an extra arm, I think Sasuke may win, but because we're not necessarily talking about Dragon Ball Z, the strongest fighter doesn't necessarily always win. So Naruto, on the other hand, no pun intended, could potentially pull out some very surprising abilities on Sasuke that Sasuke didn't necessarily see before. And of course, when we talk about Naruto, one of the things that I've always said is that Naruto doesn't necessarily use all the abilities of his Sage of Six Paths powers. He's pretty much tapped into, I'd say, he probably even less than 10% of everything that he could potentially do with the abilities in the chakra of all the other tail beasts, and also his yin and yang releases. But what I will say right now, if Sasuke gets his arm back, it definitely looks like Sasuke should beat Naruto handily. But one thing that I definitely do want to ask you guys, would you guys want to see a Naruto versus Sasuke battle? And if this does happen, again, the questions that I did answer in this episode, when do you think it would happen and who do you think would win? Again, I think one of the best times that we could potentially see it is in a movie, but there is still a possibility that we do actually get to see this fight during the Boruto timeline in the Boruto anime. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.